Welcome, wrestling fans, to the PW Fan. The PW Fan is a pro wrestling podcast created by fans for fans, and we appreciate you joining us for episode 23. I am your host, representing the old school wrestling fan, and your favorite local barber, Tim Gilbert.
And I'm your host, the architect of pro wrestling podcast, Andy.
I'm also your host, the No Selling Wrestling Indie Fan, Jeremy.
Okay, guys, today we are going to be talking about the Women's Elimination Chamber, AEW Dynamite review, Roman Reigns vs. Goldberg, and more. Before we get started today, head on over to YouTube, and you can find all of our episodes there if you want to go back in the archives and listen to some old stuff. While you're there, please like and subscribe. It helps us out a lot. And if you're listening on Spotify or Apple, or if you're on Apple Podcasts, hit us with that five-star Dave Meltzer review. And if you want to buy a t-shirt, go to prowrestlingtees.com/the PW Fan. Guys, episode 23. It's Michael Jordan. It's Michael Jordan's number. It's going to be a good one. I got a feeling about it. All right, Andy, what do you got for us?
Alrighty. So I've done this in the past, but if things pop up on NXT 2.0, I'll usually talk about them before we get into like the main shows. And I know I think I'm the only one in this pod that still keeps up with it every week. It's hard, boys. But so this week, I think it was the opening segment. Dolph Ziggler appeared on NXT 2.0. Big pop. He came out during Braun Breaker and Santos Escobar's contract signing segment. He sits down at the table. He looks at Braun Breaker. He says, "You asked if I worked on Tuesdays. Apparently I do now," was his response. Then he also says, "Who the hell are you?" He names his accolades, like all the championships he's won, Money in the Bank, and so on. Then he says, "All those accolades I have, and there's one I do not, the NXT Championship." So then Ciampa comes out and gets on the mic. Escobar interrupts him. Ciampa gets back on the mic. Ciampa says he has next after Escobar, unless Dolph Ziggler has a problem with that. So, was it Vengeance Day? That's, I believe, tomorrow night, this Tuesday, the 15th, is their TV pay-per-view. So it's going to be Braun Breaker versus Santos Escobar. So Ciampa's saying he has next unless Dolph Ziggler has a problem with that. Then Dolph says later on, he says, "You say this is your home. The same few hundred people come out and clap like seals week in and week out, year after year, no matter what you do, and you think this is your home. When does it end? When does the helmet and the elbow pads come off? When do the training wheels?" And then Ciampa attacks Dolph. So I don't know how long Dolph is going to be in NXT 2.0. It might actually be one of the better storylines going on, I feel like, because, I mean, I know Dolph loses 99 out of 100 matches, but he can steal the show sometimes, and, you know, the talent, the old school NXT talent against Dolph Ziggler could be really good. People like Ciampa. So I'm kind of interested in this. I didn't know if you guys had heard about it, but it was one of the better segments of the show. So first AJ had come down, and now Dolph. I don't, maybe there's some people for views or people like Dolph who don't do much on regular TV.
Yeah.
What do you think, Tim?
Anything after NXT?
Sorry, Andy, are you there? Or
well, what do you think about Dolph being on NXT?
Oh, sorry.
I mean, for me, it's kind of interesting because it's like you can see Vince running NXT now because he just brings back stars like he does on the main roster. Like Brock comes back all the time, he brings back Goldberg, so now he just brings back stars to NXT to get a pop.
And if any,
but it's kind of I still like it though. Like Ciampa and Dolph is gonna be awesome.
Yeah, and if anybody did hear me trying to cut off Andy to the next segment, that had nothing to do with me not liking NXT. There was just a little bit of an audio gap there. We're keeping this more loose now. You know, we're gonna keep in some of the mess ups, but Yeah, I mean, it's cool to see Dolph on NXT. Like, it's something that, man, it's just like, God, wouldn't it be way better if it was the black and gold brand if you had done all this stuff before? Like, it would have been so much cooler. I don't know.
Like,
I'm
like a
sorry.
Dolph
I don't want
against
to be
like
negative.
Adam Cole
I
or
promise
Johnny.
myself we're going to be less negative. Yeah, it's just like okay, now it's that for me it's not hitting the same. I'm just keeping it real. Like, put the same scenario back when it was like Adam Cole and everybody. Dolph comes in. It's like, oh, okay, this is gonna be some good matches or something. Now I'm just like, all right. I mean, it's cool, right? Because you're getting that main roster attention, and it's getting somebody like me to be like, oh, that's interesting. But at the same time, I'm like, this would have been way cooler.
But see, the roster was so
Just
good
a
before.
few years
You didn't
ago.
need people like Dolph and AJ to really come down.
Right, but that was like
That's
one of
true.
those scenarios.
Yeah.
You didn't need it, but that was one of those scenarios where we used to talk like, "Hey, wouldn't that be cool if like AJ like came down and did like an NXT run?" And it's like,
Yeah.
now he's doing it. It's just like I feel like it didn't hit at the coolest time. NXT used to be the coolest. I was wearing an NXT hat earlier today, but I think it's too small for my giant head, so I switched hats. I love old NXT. Old NXT was awesome. Black and gold forever, baby. Rest in peace.
Triple
What
H
about
is
you,
NXT.
Jeremy? What do you
Yeah.
think?
Yeah, I mean, like I kind of said before, like it's kind of Vince's NXT now, as opposed to Triple H's. So I don't think it's as good at all, even close to the Black and Gold brand. So I like their surprises, and it's always going to get a pop because Vince is very good at that. But I don't think there's really much else to this show, which is why we don't talk about it.
All right. Starting off this week, a couple things on Raw to talk about. First thing is, I think I announced it at the beginning of last week's, but they had announced the Women's Elimination Chamber, but they didn't. They just did it on social media. If I remember correctly, that's what I said. I don't think we've known the members yet, but this week on Raw, they told us the members, and it's Liv Morgan, Rhea Ripley, Bianca Belair, Doudrop, Nikki Ash, and then a mystery opponent. So first off, what I want to say is no qualifying matches, none. Just don't need any for a freaking elimination chamber. That was a bit odd.
None of their 20 writers could have come up with something.
Nope, definitely not. Why would they? They get paid, You get paid money for the do half the job. But my question out of that group, there's people that have been out, and obviously this is all Raw women, but Asuka's been out, Bayley's been out. I think Alexa Bliss is Raw as well. I keep forgetting which show the therapy sessions are on, but I feel like it's Raw. So I'm assuming it's either Asuka, Bayley, or Alexa for that last opponent. What do you guys think? Or how do you feel about no qualifying matches? Nothing.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not surprised. It's WWE when they do something right with maybe the men's qualifying, or even if they do something right with the women's, they end up dropping it somewhere else. So it's not really surprising when it doesn't make any sense with their storylines.
No. They don't think about the fans' intelligence at all.
Right.
What about you, Tim?
I'm going to be honest. I don't have much to say about this. I'm just going to pass on it.
Alrighty.
Trying to stay positive.
Yeah, if you don't got nothing nice to say, don't say anything at all.
Yeah.
I hope that's not a letdown for people, but trying to be more positive.
So later on the show, we did have a Miz TV segment with Dominic and Rey Mysterio. I know we've talked about this multiple times through group chat throughout the week, but one of the things me and Tim bring up all the time is about the old feud between Rey Mysterio and Eddie Guerrero for the custody of Dominic. So related to that, this week Dominique. Miz says to Dominic in the ring, I've never noticed. You're a lot taller than Ray. Are you sure you're not Eddie's son? And then Ray freaks out, but Dominic holds him back and then attacks Miz, which leads to a match. I just had to talk about that just because it's one of our favorite things. That whole storyline was so preposterous, but it was a classic. It all culminated at, I believe, SummerSlam. Yes. So I just, God, I mean, it must have been over 15 years since that happened, and they brought it back. Just the whole Eddie being the
That's
father
crazy. It's
thing.
been that long.
It might have been more. I
Yeah.
don't
know.
What
Rest
year
in
did Eddie
peace.
die? Like 04, 06?
2005.
Something like that. Yeah.
Somewhere around there.
Okay. Yeah, he didn't die. He died a little bit after that. So yeah, it's been 15 plus years. So I just thought that was kind of funny. But the final segment of the night was Lita and Becky Lynch in the ring. Becky was saying stuff, the classic stuff when there's an older talent, but they were your hero. She's like, if there was no Lita, there'd be no Becky Lynch. And then she said, but now that there is a Becky Lynch, there can be no Lita. And they're just talking about their match and stuff. But that was kind of the big line that came out of the segment. And they ended up going at it for a little bit. And I believe Lita, kind of won the battle with a twist of fate at the end and walked out the ring. So I really do hope that match is good at Elimination Chamber between those two.
Yeah.
We'll have to
You
wait
know
and
what's
see.
funny? I didn't even realize this, but Lita, I don't know, was it like a year ago or whatever? She makes some comments about the Saudi Arabia shows, about like how they shouldn't do them or like how horrible they are. And then
how
I
the
guess she
turns are
got the
tabled.
number for how much she gets paid, and she's like, "I'm good, I'll go."
Everyone has a price.
Yeah,
Unless you're Sami Zayn, then I don't think you have a price for it.
yeah.
I'm excited to see Lita. I think that's cool.
Yeah, I was going to ask
Yeah.
you excited for this match?
Yeah.
I'm scared for the
I am.
moonsault, but yeah,
Dude,
I'm
I'm
excited.
terrified. The moonsault terrifies me every time. Doesn't
even when
matter.
I was, I mean, she's already broken her neck, so it's just like, man, when she scorpioned herself,
Yeah.
that was some scary shit. I remember seeing that live and being like, oh my god,
That was the main
Yeah.
event of Raw, right? Her and Trish. That was like the first time they
Yeah.
were in the main event.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that was actually.
Yeah.
I mean, not like I'm surprised, but no, that was an awesome match. And I remember as a kid, being fully invested in the fact that was the main event. I was like hyped, and it was a good match.
Well, I think at the time
Yeah.
they were like the top women's talent on the roster, if I'm not
Oh
mistaken.
yeah, definitely.
Yeah, I mean, that you still had some bikini models and stuff doing their thing, but
That was the rest of the
when
roster.
it came to actually wrestling, they were definitely the top two. But yeah, that covers Raw for this week. There wasn't too much that I thought worth talking about. Although I think it was this week, the academic decathlon I thought was actually really funny with Chad Gable and Otis and Matt Riddle and Randy Orton. We don't have to talk about it because I didn't write down any notes for it, but I thought about it afterwards. I was like,
I didn't like it at all.
dude. It was I don't know. I thought they're so good. What was the one question? It was like, which Shakespeare story has been made to like the most movies or shows? And Otis just keeps yelling ham for Hamlet, and Gabe was like, no. But Otis with his history of like meats and weights or steaks and weights or whatever, like he's like ham.
Yeah.
And then Gable gets it wrong and like he freaks out. But there was another funny moment where Randy Orton's like, Riddle,
I can't say that I
bakes."
indulged.
Yeah. There's like a level of like, I don't know what, I guess I would call it sports entertainment that I can handle. And that's over the line for me.
Well, Randy Orton says, like, Riddle, you're not the only one that bakes, and then gets the answer. It's like how many grams are in an ounce correctly. So
Yeah.
they showed a little bit of a weed smoke inside of Randy. But okay, moving on. Dynamite this week.
Weed.
Let's get into it. There's a lot to cover. We're gonna. I mean, obviously, we're gonna open up with the opening segment, but it was. I'll just go down the notes, guys. It was weird.
Crazy
so
Dynamite.
It's the MJF segment. Wardlow walks out with a life-size MJF like standouts, like cutouts of him. Pushes them in the ring in the corner. FTR with Tully come out. Sean Spears comes out. Spears has Justin Roberts. We're getting a special MJF introduction. Just MJF being big-headed, pretty much. MJF is carried out like a king, kind of like King Mabel. Was that his name? When the Hardys were like struggling him with him on the throne back in the day. Do you remember that? Yeah. So he's in a chair and he's
Mabel,
on like a
King
platform.
Mabel, Viscera, Big Vis, Big Daddy V.
Yeah. So they carried him out, who obviously MJF is a lot lighter than him, but still he's on a nice like chair on top of a platform. Yeah, he gets kissed on the cheek and then makes out like hardcore makes out with some chick. It was look, do your thing, dude. But like for some reason, watching, I was just disturbed by it.
Yeah, it was. First of all, it was like sloppy, but also I don't even think like she expected it because she was like almost smiling or laughing through it.
Let me just interrupt by one thing. Speaking of hard,
yeah.
No, hang on, wait, no. This is going to be like a weird turn for the show because we never talk about this company ever. Speaking of weird, aggressive, unnecessary making out. Did you guys see that Alicia Atout turned heel in MLW and she started making out with Most Marketable, which was one of MJF's old partners? Anybody see this?
You showed me the clip when I was.
Oh yeah, I saw that. Yeah.
Yeah, for anybody watching on YouTube here, you can feast your eyes on this. Disgusting.
No one can see that, Tim.
Yeah, they can.
That was done, what, just a few days after this MJF segment?
Yeah.
But MJF did it for like a minute straight.
Way to open the show. Anyway, MJF gets on the mic. We get shut the fuck up
Stop
chants.
make out right now.
Wardlow.
Andy's very disturbed by that, considering that's my brother.
God. Wardlow looks annoyed the entire time. He looks unimpressed. He says, or MJF says he needs to thank someone for helping him beat Punk. Wardlow starts to walk forward, but instead he says Sean Spears. And he says, it's time I become your new AEW World Champion. CM Punk comes out. Punk gets on the mic. And he brings out his friends Darby Allin and Sting. All three guys have bats. CM Punk is out there. He's asking for a rematch against Wardlow. He can be and he says that Wardlow can be on the end of this beating, or he can grow some balls and leave these jerks. Dax Harwood gets on the mic and he says he wants a tag rematch. MJF gets back on the mic, says he'll give him a tag rematch, but it can't be Darby and Sting. And good luck finding a partner in the locker room that doesn't hate your guts. So that wrapped up that segment. Again, with the Wardlow stuff, he's getting more and more annoyed. Fans are like cheering for Wardlow. And not cheering for the guy he works for.
It's been a good slow build. I think they're just patient.
Yeah.
And when it's time,
I'm just hoping the payoff is good. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's not like a Ryback
with it right now.
Yeah. Now, the problem with like guys like Ryback and like other times where like WWE's tried something like this is like they just push it down people's throats too much and then they don't like it. And I'm not saying that Wardlow is like a Goldberg, but the reason why Goldberg worked is because it was Goldberg. I think we need a Goldberg tweet. But the reason why it worked is because it was organic and people liked it. And I think the same reason
like you saying
is Goldberg. And I think that's why people like Wardlow. Goldberg.
Well, speaking of,
I didn't hear anything else you said, Tim.
I know.
Well, speaking of Wardlow, this segment led into a match of the Blade, who I think was just returning from injury or something.
Yeah, I think
he
so.
was
Yeah,
just getting back. But Blade versus Wardlow, we get Wardlow chants. Sean Spears, Tim's favorite, comes out, and he wants Wardlow to pin the Blade when he says so, but he doesn't listen. Wardlow wins with a series of power bombs, and then what do you know? Sean Spears adds a chair shot for no fucking reason at the end.
Sean Spears sucks.
After that, there's a video from Penta. It's weird. It was a weird, dark video. He said their translator, I forget his name, but he says Malachi spit in Penta's soul. So my question is, Penta going dark? Is he going to gain an eye patch like every other person? Or do we get, a different...
And then take it off.
Yeah. Or do we get a different Penta character?
I think he's going back to his dark character, which is kind of cool. I think it's a better direction for his character anyways.
Who was... See, I don't think I knew his dark character. Was that his character in, Impact?
Yeah, and also from, Lucha Underground.
Okay.
He would, break people's arms and all that stuff, so...
Oh, geez. Okay. Well, I'm kind of looking forward to that. Or maybe he just joins Kings of the Black Throne.
He's like, look, I'm wearing black now, guys.
Yeah. All right, so after that we had a kind of it wasn't that long, but there was the mandatory inner circle meeting. I don't know how you guys felt about this segment, but Chris Jericho...
Attendance is mandatory.
Attendance is mandatory.
The inner circle.
The inner circle.
The circle.
Ciao, Waboito.
We're going to do this entire show.
You got Chris Jericho in the ring, Sammy Guevara, and Jake Hager come out together. Santana and Ortiz come out separately. Jericho talks about not getting tagged in and wants to know why. Santana gets on the mic and says that at the end of the day, Chris Jericho only cares about himself. They always come to help him whenever they're close to getting a title shot. They're done playing second fiddle. Jericho always stood in the way of the spotlight. And then Jericho gets on the mic after being told not to talk over and over by Santana. Because he said, I'm not finished. Then you can talk. Jericho says Santana reminds him of Eddie, gets hyped up, and blames everyone else. He says he's the reason that...
I'm sorry. You just you just reminded me of something from a long time ago where when you said I'm not finished, it reminded me of this thing that Strowman used to do where he'd be like, I'm not finished with you. And then he would kill the guy. But I remember he did it to Roman one time. Roman was on a stretcher and he was already dead. And they're wheeling him out.
Oh,
yeah. I'm not finished with you. It just comes out of nowhere and throws him off the edge of this balcony. Sorry, it just made me think of that.
Oh my god! All right. So after saying the Eddie thing, Jericho says that he's the reason that Santana and Ortiz are there. He said he brought you into the inner circle. I can take you the hell out. He said he brought in the wrong two LAX members. Who are the other two LAX members?
Homicide and Hernandez.
Oh yeah, that's right. Because then Jericho says their name, and Santana gets pissed. He grabs Jericho actually. Sammy Guevara tries to calm the situation. Jericho tells him,
Sammy calms it down by like, guys, stop. We're a family.
"Yeah."
We're a family,
Civil
bros.
War
Come
tells him-
on.
Jericho tells Sammy to
Come on,
shut
dudes.
up. Sammy gets on the mic and says he loves the Inner Circle, but one of his goals is to be the greatest champion. But the bickering isn't going to help it. So he takes off his Inner Circle jacket, and says they need to figure it out. Ortiz gets on the mic, talks about Eddie Kingston helping them, and next week, I forget who says it, but I think it's Santana and Ortiz. Next week, it's Santana and Ortiz versus Jericho and Hager. So that will be on next week's Dynamite.
Hopefully Santana and Ortiz come out looking strong.
I'm sure they will, and I'm sure Eddie's gonna. Is Eddie Kingston injured?
I think he has, I don't know, I forget what it is, but he's injured.
Eddie Kingston. Okay. So yeah, I mean, we'll see if this is the falling out of the Inner Circle. It probably is. They've been together for like 3 years on basically the entire time.
Yeah. Well, apparently Jericho's going back to WWE just because he said, "You never know when I'm going to show up to Owens."
Oh yeah, there was something I saw today about having another match with Kevin Owens.
Yeah.
Yes,
But
and what
I don't know
was it the anniversary of the Festival of Friendship? I saw a post. I think that's
wasn't
where
Owens doing something similar to that now?
I think so.
I forget who it is.
Seth
Yeah.
of a friendship. All right, let's talk about this Roppongi Vice interview where the Bucks walked up, because me and Tim watched it back when I was over there, when they outbacked him at the trailer. All right, so the Bucks, Roppongi Vice is getting interviewed. The Bucks walk up. They get attacked by Adam Cole, which did not look good. And then the Bucks do a BTE trigger, which looked absolutely awful.
It was one of the worst things
awful
I've ever seen.
This would have been the worst segment on the show if that guy didn't show up.
So then after the BTE trigger, Adam Cole goes, "Look who it is," and it's Jay White walks up, back facing the camera. It's his leather jacket with the switchblade markings on it. And he takes, I believe it was Trent, and throws him up against the trailer, and then doesn't say anything, just walks away. So Jay White is now, I don't know if he's just doing stuff for All Elite Wrestling or if he is All Elite, but
No, that's the actual Forbidden Door
yeah,
definition, because he still works for New Japan.
yeah. Unless Tony brought him in, realizing that he didn't know the definition of Forbidden Door, and he's like, "I need to find someone."
Yeah, he literally tweeted that. He's like, "I messed up, so I brought Jay White."
Yeah.
So I want to give a quick shout out to my boy and big time fan of the show, Paul Moyer, and he listens to every episode. And I want to give a shout out to his son Quincy too. What's up, Quincy? How you doing, buddy? But we were talking. I was cutting his hair the other day, and he just kind of like out of nowhere was like, "I don't even know if I like the Young Bucks anymore." And I was like, "Yeah." I was like,
That's what I said to you over your house.
Yeah.
Yeah. You were saying it too. Yeah, like, and it's like,
we were watching part of the Roppongi Vice match. I was like, I don't know if I like him anymore.
Yeah, and they've been off TV for a little bit, and it's like I don't miss them at all.
I used to think they were awesome. Now I'm just like, come on.
Yeah.
What? Okay. What do you? What is it that? It's not the heel thing. I'm just saying that BTE trigger, whatever thing that they did, that looked like if like the three of us did that on somebody for like just like joking around.
Dude, it was rough.
It looks like somebody's
realize it was
like drunk with their friends and they're like, "Dude, is this how you do it?" Like that's how it looked.
And I didn't realize it was that bad looking until I watched it with you you.
I noticed on the first one because I was like,
you're like, oh my god.
Well, no. Okay,
Yeah.
so here, just hear me out. Just hear me out. Okay, I'm not trying to be a dick, but it's like in the back, right? And like, I don't know, the old school in me is like normally when they're in the audience or they're in the bleachers or in the back, since the camera is going to be close, they kind of like lay it in a little bit, because they don't want it to look, phony or whatever. Well,
They did not
Right.
do
I was
that.
like, oh man. And I was like, oh, they're about to do this move on this dude back here. They're probably going to do it kind of stiff. I was like, oh, it's going to be like, so like my mind was expecting one thing and I was like waiting for that big moment. And then all of a sudden it just was like, and I was like, oh, so it's just like a big letdown. Ugh.
It's like at least cut the camera a certain way so you don't see it like that. Like, so it looks good.
I was like, oh man, this is gonna be crazy, and then all of a sudden it just was like the biggest, like I was like, ah.
So,
Well, I want to move on to my favorite part of the night.
yeah, there we go.
There was a match. It was Isaiah Cassidy versus a mysterious opponent for the Face of the Revolution. Is it a tournament? I'm guessing.
It was a qualifying match to go into the ladder match.
Okay. So Isaiah Cassidy comes out, and then someone makes their debut, and it is Keith Lee. He gets a great reaction from the audience.
Crazy reaction.
He gets in there. He's wrestling like the NXT version of Keith Lee.
The Keith Lee that everyone loved.
Yeah, he tossed Isaiah Cassidy like halfway across the ring, so high up in the air.
That was crazy.
He did a bunch of crazy stuff. But one of the things during the match, Matt Hardy walks out of the match over the barricade into the audience midway through the match. And the announcers are saying it's erratic behavior. Well, what does that sound like? That's exactly how they describe Jeff Hardy walking out of mid-match during that house show. And they said that Jeff Hardy was doing or ensuing in some erratic behavior. Do you guys think that this is, a little tease? I mean, I feel like
Definitely
things like that are said on TV for a reason,
Oh yeah, and it's like Matt Hardy on his socials he's been like saying he thought Private Party were the next Hardy Boys. He's like, I guess I'm wrong.
Well, do you think
he's done with them?
Do you think Jeff comes back in time for this ladder match? Or if he debuts, do you think he'll debut in time for the ladder match?
Well, his 90 days is up March 9th, I think is after the show.
It's like a day after, or yeah.
Well,
So it could be the following Dynamite then.
If Jeff does come to AEW, that means that we're going to get the Hardy Boys versus the Hardly Boys, which I'm excited for.
The Hardly Boys. I forget that's what another guy likes to call them. The Hardly Boys.
The Hardly Boys. It's a South Park reference. Everybody calm down.
But the winner of the match was obviously Keith Lee. Private Party goes to attack afterwards, and Keith Lee is just doing some freakish strength when I forget who jumps out from Private Party, but Keith catches him, and then he like power bombs him onto the other member of Private Party. He takes them all out. Fans are loving it. Great debut by Keith Lee. I thought it was awesome, and I cross my fingers they book him right. But there is a Face of Revolution qualifying match, which is Wardlow against somebody, and I have a feeling Wardlow's going to win, and then you get Keith Lee and Wardlow, two big boys in a match.
Yeah.
But big guys that can move, too.
Yeah, everyone's saying, like, imagine Keith Lee versus, like, Miro or, like, Wardlow or people like that in AEW. They let them go.
I saw Brian Cage post
Hobbs.
some video from, like, an indie. He was like, give me Keith Lee.
Yeah.
Those indie shows are weird sometimes. Those rings are way too small looking. You ever notice that?
Yeah. The Claims were actually fighting Brian Cage and whoever he was tagging with. And, like, the Max Caster guy was rapping. He's like, we have more TV time than Brian Cage. And, like, everyone started laughing.
Damn. I'm sure Brian Cage didn't like that.
Oh, my God. So after that match, we had Britt Baker and Thunder Rosa video package. Then we had a Sammy Guevara cue card segment.
That was fun during the pandemic era.
Yeah.
And it's annoying now.
Yeah. And his cue cards, I think, had to do with the inner circle segment earlier in the show. But this led us to probably my favorite match on the show. It was FTR versus CM Punk and a partner he had to find. And it turned out to be John Moxley. Or John Moxley.
Totally
For those who didn't see, all of a sudden the Forbidden Door opened and John Cena came out. It was amazing. Came to the rescue.
But
God,
look, I just
how
wrote down the
insane would
winners
that
of this.
have been?
I just wrote down the winners of this match, which were CM Punk and John Moxley. But this match was awesome. FTR and them were really good together. I thought it was my favorite match on the show.
Yeah,
I'd have to say, besides Keith Lee's debut, but this one actually got some, a lot of time. It wasn't like a squash match. It was very good. What you guys think?
Yeah, it was one of my favorites too, and it's so cool to see FTR and CM Punk together because they're both like kind of the old school wrestlers too.
Mm-hmm.
So the building of the match was pretty awesome to see.
How about you?
No, I enjoy. No, I thought the match was cool, and like you said, it was different than the Keith Lee segment, right? Like one was kind of like a big moment, and the other one was just like a cool, also a good moment, but it was more just kind of a match type scenario. So I enjoyed both segments, and I liked everything overall. I thought this was a fun show, honestly, minus the awful.
Yeah,
it was also just
backstage.
Cool to see.
No, you guys would know better than me. Did they team up?
But Jay White was cool
during. Did they team out at all during WWE together, or wrestle each other?
No, because Moxley was in the Shield the entire time, or they wrestled each other. Yeah.
Oh, okay. It makes me think though, like, okay, obviously this leads into some Daniel Bryan jealousy kind of thing. So we'll have to see what goes on with that. I'd like them being paired up. I kind of prefer CM Punk to be by himself, at least now. But, I don't think...
Wouldn't it be crazy if it was like Punk, Moxley, and Danielson?
Dude, take over the company.
Yeah. Yeah.
For real.
I wanted
also,
that
where
to happen.
has American...
Yeah.
Where's Red Dragon been?
I think... Isn't one of them hurt?
I guess. I mean, that would make sense.
Because Kyle O'Reilly just did their podcast, the AEW's podcast.
I'll have to look it up and see. All right, the next match.
I thought you said something like that.
The next match was a debut of an ex-NXT wrestler. I don't remember what her name was over there, but in AEW is AQA. And AQA was trained by Booker T. She's wrestling Jade Cargill for the TBS Championship. Now, first time this was on, I didn't really pay attention to it. I think I was also doing homework at the time. Sorry. But after the show or the next day, I had heard homework. I got some homework. I had heard some trash talking on this match, saying it was really bad and it was all blamed on like AQA. And Jade Cargill was like visually frustrated during it. So when I was over at Tim's house, I rewatched it. I don't think it should have been ripped apart like it did. There was timing was off at things and maybe a lack of communication, but man, the way they made it sound is that it was terrible. I mean, it wasn't good, but it wasn't like god awful. So I don't know what they saw that I didn't see.
Dude, and that's the thing. Like, we were just going hard on that like Young Bucks V Trigger thing, and like I watched this match with you, and I was like, and I was like, dude, this wasn't even that bad. It's funny how like people overreact to some things, and then like I don't know, people probably say that we're overreacting. No, I don't think so. I'm still picturing that V Trigger in my head. It was horrible, but I mean, But yeah,
no
it's
one
like,
talked about that
people-
feature. Everyone talked about AQA versus Jade.
I was like, dude, that's not. This wasn't even that bad. I mean, in comparison to like other things I've seen. You know?
I think people just spotlight it because everyone says Jade is so green, so they always just watch her matches more carefully like that. But
on the
it
other
wasn't
hand,
that
Jade
bad.
did good. I mean,
On the other hand, people think the Young Bucks are like can't do anything wrong, so it's like they watch it with blinders because somebody's gonna be like, "No way, dude! They hit that V trigger flawlessly. They're the best wrestlers ever." Fuck you.
well, Jade looked like she took the reins in this match when things were going, or were a little off, So, props to her for kind of being the ring general in this one. Yeah. So after that, we have Young Bucks and Adam Cole backstage segment. They're talking about Roppongi Vice match coming up between the Bucks and Roppongi Vice on this coming Rampage. And then the Bucks are like, Adam could have let us know before Jay White was coming. They're like, Kenny and Jay White were like arch enemies before. And Adam Cole in the end ends up saying, I know we're elite now, but we took an oath when you're Bullet Club for life.
For life.
So if you're a fan of old school Bullet Club, it was kind of cool. So we'll have to
cool
see. I
keep it
mean,
together.
Look, Jay White, if there's the Bullet Club is still existing over there, I believe he is the leader. Kenny was the leader at one point. Now Kenny and him are going to be in the same place. But you also have Adam Cole who's coming up trying to take the top spot too.
I'm not gonna lie, that quote when they said that, I was like, a couple years ago, when AEW started, I retired all my. I had literally the collection. I had every single Bullet Club shirt that they put out, like the original ones, and the hoodie.
Yeah,
and then I folded them, and just so they didn't get ruined.
Tattoo.
I wore. Yeah, and I got the Bullet Club tattoo, full life, and I was like, man, I'm gonna have to bust out the old Bullet Club shirts.
Because Tim's like, I took an oath. I took an oath too. So I got to get out my stuff. Anyway. I took an oath. It's still real to me.
The only thing about the only thing about the Bullet Club shirts is sometimes they're a little too like, people don't know what it is, and like they're like, "Oh, are you like a big gun guy?" And I'm like, I mean, no. Like,
oh yeah,
it has nothing. I was like, it has nothing to do with that.
I do have that AJ Styles New Japan Bullet Club shirt that is like impossible to find, which I'm super jealous of. But
that's why I never wear it, because I'm like, it's like, what's the point of having it? But at the same time, I'm like, man, every time I wear and then put that thing in the wash and dry it, it's just as like another day.
Another day off its life.
It's life, yeah. It's just.
But yeah, so it'll be interesting to see what goes on with this Bullet Club stuff, if any is going to happen. But
yeah.
Next, we had a match: Serena Deeb, still out there every week, versus someone named Katie Arquette. She made pretty quick work of her. Winner was Serena Deeb. All right, then we had a video package.
5-minute rookie thing.
Yeah. Then we had a video package. It was Ass Club and Jurassic Express.
Ass Club.
Video package for them. Because they are having a tag team championship on the upcoming Rampage that week. Our main event. Jeremy, did you watch this whole thing? Because I made Tim watch it.
I did.
I wasn't
hyped or excited for it at all, but oh my god, this match was amazing.
It was one of the better Texas death matches that they do on TV.
Yeah.
I usually hate them. Lance Archer versus Hangman Adam Page, Texas death match for the AEW World Championship. Start off by saying I hope their rivalry is done, and based on how this match ended, I think it is.
Yeah.
In the end, the winner was Hangman Adam Page via countout. He, we'll talk about a couple spots, but he had barbed wire wrapped around his arm and he dropped it, and the ref had bent down to pick it. earlier on in the match, Dan Lambert took off the top rope. We should start with that. All right. The entire top rope is pretty much out the entire match. So when the
It took
ref
him like 5 minutes to get it off.
Yeah. When the ref is bent over picking up Adam Page's barbed wire, Adam Page does what he would normally do, flip over the rope. He springboards and flips over the ref's back, and then clotheslines Lance Archer through like 2 tables on the outside. Heyman gets up and gets back in the ring. Lance Archer is counted out. Now, some spots in the match.
I think it's like that 10 count.
Yeah. He got counted out, right?
Like they're just down. Well, there's no count out. It's just like he's down.
Oh, okay. Well, then why didn't
Yeah.
Adam Page ran into the ring? So I was like, it's a 10.
Yeah, I don't know why he did that because the announcers were like, you don't need to ruin the ring, but I think it was just instinct.
Also, that kind of count out wouldn't be a rule for a death match, but
right. Yeah.
Anyway, some gnarly spots in the match. If I remember, Lance Archer took a fork to Adam. Adam Page's face was really bloody. Excuse me. And I don't remember what Lance Archer's finisher is, but he took Adam Page and threw him onto the steel steps from the ring to the outside.
Did you think he was actually going to do that? Like when he lifted him up, I was like, "Oh, there's no way he's going to do it."
I had to show Tim that.
Yeah, that was crazy.
Pretty crazy. I'm trying to think of other ones. They had a failed opportunity with Jake the Snake Roberts. Jake the Snake, I think he clotheslined Adam Page or something, and then picked him up, and he wanted to do a DDT, but Lance Archer stopped him.
Yeah.
So then Adam Page ended up getting it, doing it to Lance Archer, but Roberts just walked away. Didn't even see it happen, nothing, and then just turns around and flicks off Adam Page, I believe. But Tim thought he flicked off Lance Archer, so I'm not sure.
Yeah, I didn't know what was going on. I was like, wait, are they mad? Is he mad at him?
I don't know. And I think anytime it's a death match, but it's with Lance Archer, that's why they call it the Texas Death Match, because he's from Texas.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, it wasn't my favorite match on the show. Like I said, the CM Punk match was my favorite, but compared to all the other matches or all the other death matches I've seen on the show, it was one of the better ones, pretty much.
Yeah, it was a good main event.
Yeah. But that wrapped up Dynamite. There's a couple of things to talk about with SmackDown this week. Did you all see?
So just the last thing is that Adam Cole comes out at the end.
Oh, thank you. I don't know why I didn't write it down. I think I got so excited for it.
You have it down right here.
Do I? Oh, yeah, I do. Okay. Sorry, guys. So, yeah, Adam Page is in the ring holding up the belt, or the ref has the belt, hasn't given it to Adam Page yet. And Adam Cole walks.
That's fine. Yeah, it's going to be Adam Page versus Adam Cole.
Adam Cole walks down the ramp. He grabs the belt from the ref and he puts it on Page's shoulders. I think making his intentions clear, basically. So, I'm sorry, Adam Page. I am over your reign, and I want Adam Cole to beat you. Look, man, Tony didn't book you right. I don't know. Maybe if you had Andy booking you, it'd be different. But
I mean, it's like what Tim said. It's more about the chase.
but also, no, me and Tim also were like,
the chase.
Also, they started his reign off really strong with Bryan Danielson. And he beat him clean. I don't know.
Yeah.
But I'm looking forward to Adam Cole being in the title picture, I guess, whether he wins or not, but I want him to win. So maybe that's leading to Revolution. I hope so. I'm sure we'll get more this upcoming Dynamite. But on to SmackDown. There were interviews throughout the night. One was with Michael Cole and Roman Reigns, and the other was with Goldberg. Roman Reigns is talking about things like Goldberg being old and, Goldberg beat Lesnar before, and that Lesnar had beaten Roman, or that this match was supposed to take place before, but that was before Roman was a tribal chief. He's not that Roman anymore. And then Goldberg, I'm trying to remember what he said. It wasn't that important, but he's saying, he's talking about all the people that want him to like stop wrestling and whatnot. And he's saying he can still go, and he's still that guy. So I don't know, Goldberg.
I can't believe he gets cheers.
Or they pumped in cheers. I don't know.
No, it could be, yeah.
Yeah. So we'll see if he wins. If
anybody listening to the show hears a change in my audio, it's because I think my mic disconnected. So that's why I sound a little weird. But yes, but hopefully that hasn't been going on the whole time.
No, it just recently.
No, it just happened.
Good. Yeah, well, we're almost at the end. So, perfect. All right, sorry about that, everybody.
So yeah, that was the Roman Reigns and Goldberg interviews, just promoting their upcoming match and what they're going to do to one another. The main event of the show was Naomi versus Charlotte Flair, though, for the SmackDown Women's Championship. Winner was Charlotte Flair. It's not really. I didn't really bring this up to talk about the match itself, though the crowd was really into it. But Sonya Deville and Charlotte Flair at the end attacked Naomi, and then Ronda Rousey comes out to help, which, in my opinion, sets up a future tag match before Mania. Sonya and Charlotte.
It's WWE's formula.
Yeah. They got to always have something. So Sonya and Charlotte versus Naomi and Ronda I can totally see happening in the future. But yeah, so fine. That wrapped up SmackDown. I wanted to wrap up with Rampage this week. Which, Tim, I know you didn't get a chance to watch, but I was able to show you some of the clips that, I wanted to talk about anyway, so it'll be good. Roppongi Vice versus the Young Bucks was the opening match. During the match, Orange Cassidy goes under the ring, and then you see a thumbs up pop out, and they pull the hand that the thumbs up is coming from, and it's Danhausen. Danhausen gets pulled out from under the ring, and he curses the Young Bucks. He goes, "You are cursed." And when he does that, Roppongi Vice dive out to the guys. Young Bucks dive out to the outside, or Roppongi Vice dives out to the outside to the Young Bucks. Right after that, he's coist. In the end, though, the winners were the Young Bucks. There was a sign in the audience that says "Your Jordans are fake." Probably referring to the Young Bucks. But afterwards, Brandon Cutler is spraying Orange Cassidy with the cold spray. Cassidy does this little slow super kicks to Brandon Cutler. And I believe the Bucks attack Orange Cassidy, and then Trent Beretta and Rocky Romero get involved. But the point of this is that Jay White comes out, gets to the ring, and I'm guessing it's his finisher, takes out Trent Beretta.
Yep.
So, do we get a Jay White Trent Beretta match in the future? Probably.
Why like the Elite and the Best Friends need to be done? Like the Elite have won all of the matches.
No, keep adding members to both groups, and they'll keep going forever.
Yeah.
No.
At least he's wrestling the better. If he is going to wrestle Trent, he's wrestling the better best friend.
God.
So the crowd was like not that hyped for Jay White. I feel like the crowd should know who he is, but maybe a lot of them actually don't, and that's just me thinking that.
I think it could be. And also, it's when they record the Rampage after Dynamite.
He's only ever wrestled in like New Japan, I'm pretty sure. So like no big companies over here. That is. So
I mean, I'm sure that's not.
You might be in the Indies and stuff over here, huh?
I mean,
You're not sure what to.
That's not the only place he's wrestled.
No, but I mean, big companies. I'm pretty sure that like he, he wasn't ever with WWE or ROH, things like that.
He did some stuff with Impact, but that was it in the US.
But yeah, the crowd didn't seem that hype. But I mean, if you're a fan of Bullet Club and stuff and follow them, or New Japan Pro Wrestling, you were probably excited to see him.
Yeah.
Afterwards, we had a backstage segment with Bryan Danielson. He says Moxley teaming up with CM Punk was a one-time thing. And then Matt Sydal and Lee Moriarty walk up. Sydal is bothered by Danielson, saying that Lee Moriarty should be training with Danielson. I believe he had brought it up when he was trying to convince Moxley to team with him. But next week, it's going to be Lee Moriarty versus Bryan Danielson. I believe it's going to be for Dynamite. So
I like the part in the interview when Danielson was like, "I like that," from
the violent
Lee Moriarty.
The violence.
Yeah, he's like, "I like that." I'm like, "All right."
Sorry, dude. But so yeah, that's why I think this whole CM Punk or just Moxley stuff with Bryan Danielson is going to continue because they bring it up. But to end the show, I'm not going to end with the main event of the show, which was Jurassic Express versus the Ass Boys. Match was all right, but the winner was Jurassic Express. I'm going to end with Hook versus Blake Lee.
Hook is the main event.
Hook's the main event of this show. And Hook took it to Blake Lee. Another great showing by him. Blake Lee was apparently QT Marshall's or Marshall. I don't know, whichever one. His quote unquote best student, and he took him out. So yep, still looking forward to what's in Hook's future. Still excited for it. Still think he's going to be a star. His whole demeanor and his character, just in general, is awesome. I'm a fan.
It's kind of getting to the point of like his matches are cool, but now it's like you need to do something, a little bit more.
You got a couple matches under his belt now. Either get yourself a talker for you, and you just stay quiet, like the Quiet Monster, or have some matches with some higher profile guys.
Right.
It'll be interesting. Yeah. So even a tag match, you got all Team Taz. You could tag with one of them, do something.
Yeah, that's right. He is a part of Team Taz.
Or take out, if no one is able to take out Dante Martin or something, have Hook be the one. Send Hook. Take out Dante Martin. He's been a pest and pest towards Team Taz. I don't know. But that wraps up Rampage this week.
Was there anything else in the wrestling world that you wanted to go over before we close out this week, Andy? Oh, I got something.
Okay.
Congratulations.
Yeah, everyone, share your thoughts.
Congratulations. Congratulations to Matt Cardona for winning the NWA World Heavyweight Championship. That's right, boy.
From Trevor Murdoch, you said?
I believe, right? Yes.
Okay.
And
I think that's who beat Nick Aldis before.
He is the Death Match King, and GCW stands for Garbage Championship Wrestling.
Now, I saw that Matt Cardona, I saw a picture. Was he wearing Christian-inspired, underwear from when Christian won his...
Ring wear.
Mm-hmm. It's his underwear, and then you got the long boys, tighty whities.
The underwear.
No.
Thong.
His undies, man.
Banana hammock.
His ring wear.
Yeah, he was wearing the same outfit basically as Christian when he won the
undies.
NWA.
It was undies version.
Yeah. Good with that.
All right, guys.
Undies.
The inner circle.
Well, that about wraps up episode 23, I'd say. We appreciate you joining us here. If you're joining us on YouTube, don't forget to like and subscribe. Go to Instagram and Twitter and follow us at the PW Fan. Go to Andy the Architect's 410 Fan Bros Instagram page so you can get some likes. It's at the 410 Fan Bros on the Instagram. My man needs some likes. He needs some follows. We're gonna
nudge that
we're
like
thinking about
button.
some ideas. Yeah, not yet. we're thinking about some ideas coming up here with the show. We're thinking about maybe doing a watch along, and maybe down the road some Patreon stuff, just to be able to interact with any listeners of the show more, because we appreciate you guys so much. Thank you for all the continued support, and we will be back next week with episode 24. Bye, everybody.